This example is like the previous one, except that now we have 3 sports instead of 2. We've got a sports club in which you can play tennis, squash or badminton. And the basic numbers are given up the top right here. The total number of members is 40. The number who play tennis is 10. Number who play squash is 15. Number who play badminton is 12. Number who play tennis and squash is 5. Tennis and badminton 4. Squash and badminton 3. And the number who play all 3 sports is 2. Okay, so if we look right in the middle of this Venn diagram here, we've got 2 people in all 3 sets. These are the 2 people who play tennis, squash and badminton. Right. So now let's think about tennis and squash. Okay, so we're given that the total number of people playing tennis and squash is 5, and 2 of those play tennis, squash and badminton. So if we want the number MTS star who play tennis and squash but not badminton, that's just 5 people who play tennis and squash minus the 2 who play all 3 sports, giving 3. Okay, and so now we see here, we can see that this kind of lens-shaped region here, this is the people who play tennis and squash. The number of people in that region is 2 plus 3, which is 5. Similarly, we can do tennis and badminton. Okay, so we're given that there's 4 people who play tennis and badminton. And 2 of them play all 3 sports, so the other 2 play tennis and badminton only. So here we see MTB star, the number of people who play tennis and badminton only, is 4 minus 2, which is 2. And the same for squash and badminton. 3 people who play squash and badminton, 2 play all 3 sports. The remaining 1 plays only squash and badminton. Okay, so now we've worked out what's going on in all these regions here. Okay. So now we can go on to try and think about the number of people who play only tennis. Okay, that's the people in this region here. Okay, so we know that the total number who play tennis is 10, and these kind of 3 regions towards the top right, we've seen already that the sizes of those are 2, 2 and 3, making 7 altogether. So we've got 10 people who play tennis, 7 who play tennis and something else, so that leaves 3 who play only tennis. So let's look at the formula that we're coming out with here. Okay, so we've got for our MT star, the people who play only tennis, that's MT, the number of people who play tennis, minus the people who play tennis and something else, which is MTS star and MTB star and MTSB star. Okay, but we worked out that MTS star is MTS minus MTSB, and MTB star is MTB minus MTSB. So in this kind of expression here, we're seeing 2 minus MTSBs and plus 1 MTSB here. So what we get is an MT minus MTS minus MTB plus MTSB. So notice here we've got MT with 1 index occurring with a plus, MTS and MTB with 2 indices with a minus, and MTSB 3 indices with a plus. And it works similarly for squash. Okay, so people playing squash only, you've got the 15 people who play squash minus the 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6 people who play squash and something else, and that gives us 9 people playing squash only. And when we look at the formula, again we get some cancel. We get MS minus MTS minus MSB plus MTSB. So one way to think about this, we take MS, the people who play squash, and we subtract off the people who play squash and tennis, and we subtract off the people who play squash and badminton. But now we've subtracted off the people who play all 3 sports twice, and we don't want to subtract them off twice, we only want to subtract them off once. So we have to put in a plus MTSB to correct that. So we end up with MS minus MTS minus MSB plus MTSB as the number of people who play squash only. And similar thing for the people who play badminton only. Okay. So now we can work out the number of people who play some sport. Okay, so that's that's the total number of people in all these kind of inner regions of the Venn diagram. So we've got 7, 3 and 9 on the outside, and 1, 2 and 3 and 2, and you put all that together, you find you get 27. But it's more interesting to actually look at the general formula for it. Okay, and it turns out, well, on the one hand, you can say it's the sum of these starred numbers. The people who play only tennis, the only squash, only badminton, tennis and squash but not badminton, tennis and badminton but not squash, squash and badminton only, or people who play all three sports. So the number playing some sport is the sum of all those numbers. And then finally, on the outside, we've got the people who play no sport at all. So that's M minus M for the people, total number of members, minus all these terms here for the people who play some sport that we wrote up there. So we get this expression for M star, the number who play no sport. But again, we had these formulae like up here and here and here and here for all these starred numbers, and we can substitute those in, and we get a bunch of cancellation. And what we end up with is this expression here: M star is M minus MT minus MS minus MB plus MTS plus MTB plus MSB minus MTSB. So again, M with no subscript with a plus, MT, MS, MB with one subscript with a minus, MTS, MTB, MSB with two subscripts with a plus, and MTSB with three subscripts with a minus. So when you've got an even number of subscripts, it comes in with a plus, and when you've got an odd number of subscripts, it comes in with a minus.